Hi, my name is Bill Anderson from 14452 Elm Street. I'd like to start off by thanking Frank Luciak for the well-run planning meeting last week. He did an excellent job. I'd like to put my opinion in on that Roach Development behind my property on Elm Street, that I am totally against the duplex part of it. If he wants to redevelop it into single-family homes, it'd be great. I think that there's a 42-acre plot north of Little Falls, right off of County Road 76, that would be perfect for multi-purpose homes. And one other thing I'd like to mention, I did talk to Bruce Smith today, and if this does go through, where they're going to put duplexes on that property, he wanted me to advise you that his 19 acres will end up with 80 to 100 duplexes on it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Lang, and I live at 16542 Riverwood Drive. And I'm actually here, I received a letter from Byron Smith. I am his financial power of attorney, and he owns the property that would be next to the Roach Development. And he's concerned about the trees that will be cut down for that development. And I'll just read you segments of it, so hopefully this won't go past my 3 minutes. Over the past several decades, I've studied numerous books on forestry and tree care. A constant caution throughout these references that most people tend to ignore the root system since they are out of sight. Typically, to avoid significant damage to a tree, no digging can be done in one half of the tree's height. So digging in 1/4 of a tree's height almost always causes grave damage to that tree. Because of the trees of concern are 60 feet tall, digging should be avoided within 30 feet of their trunks. In essence, if a 60-foot tall tree dies, the cost of removal is about $1,500. If the trees are close to a property line with no room to fall, then the cost would be borne by myself. If it's not in a contract, the property owner doesn't have any hope of recovering his money, so he would need to fund the total expenses himself. So it should be obvious to everyone in the proposed housing project, that it would destroy the character of the neighborhood and seriously reduce the property, especially of his property values. Yet he would be suffering the damage to enable to help another one's project and have the cost bore upon himself. And as I myself noted in the public hearing, I would be against the development of that as well. And then to Mr. Handler, I just want to address, you stated last week that there could be 39 houses built on that property, but I did some calculations. I'm going to ask you about yours because I printed off the land use zoning regulations, and on page, I printed off 31 of 121. It says that the minimum lot size would be 12,000 square feet, and since there are 43,560 square feet in 1 acre, that means divide times 8.8 is 31.94.
Right, if I said 39 or
You said 38.
homes, it's 38 dwellings on 19 lots, because you can have 2 dwellings on a lot if it's a twin home. So you could have 2 occupants. That's what I was referring to.
Because you said that it could be divided into a few.
19 lots, which would be 38 units.
All right, thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Steve Lukowski, 14222 DeRosier Drive. I, again, would like to state my opposition to the conditional use permit application to override the zoning requirements on the Roach property along DeRosier Drive. I believe that it changes the character of our neighborhood. I also believe that the new zoning does not allow for fourplexes, and this is not the style of what is built out in that area. A couple of other comments that I'd like to make on the memo that was submitted to the council as a part of your packet. The talk about the streets, it says the proposal is that newly constructed roads within this development would be private. Whether that's a good thing or not, you just took over DeRosier Drive, which was private, and turned it into a city street. And now a new development coming in, you're gonna turn those streets into private. Is it good to have 100 people that could possibly be in this development, and the maintenance and the care of the streets for fire, safety, emergency, fire, ambulance, police is under private maintenance? It doesn't seem that if that's the direction the council wants to go, where you want the streets to be private, then DeRosier Drive should have been left private. When you talk about the variants that will be granted if you approve this, it talks about the variances have to be fully consistent with the general intent and purpose of the chapter. And the intent of the R1C zoning district is to limit development to 1 and 2 family homes. So fourplexes don't fit that. It also talks about planned unit development should produce an urban development equal or superior quality to that which would result from strict adherence to the chapter. On the end of supporting it, the intent of the R1 zoning is to limit development to 1 and 2 family homes that promote home ownership. That this would not do that. It also then goes to, on supporting the PUD, the residential chapter of the comprehensive plan is to provide a mixed housing option. I find it hard to believe that 32 rental units is a mixed housing option. So I ask the council to very strongly consider the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission and support their determination. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Belvin, 4196 DeRosier Drive. First, I want to start off by saying, because at the planning and zoning meeting, it was brought up that, we're just against development. We don't want development. Well, I guess I can't disagree totally with that, and that I'd rather not see it developed at all and let it seem as staying wooded. But I understand that's not the case. But what we're saying here, and what we've come here, is we have to remember that when Mr. Roach bought this property, it was zoned R1C. We're not trying to get the zoning changed so that he can't develop. We're trying to keep the zoning what it currently is. He's the one trying to change that. And I think that's an important piece to remember here, is that we're not trying to totally prevent all development. We're trying to prevent this development because it's out of character. And that goes on to my next point. If you look up under the city ordinances, under section N, number 1, letter D, it says, the variance will not constitute a threat to the property values, safety, health, or general welfare of the owners or occupants of the adjacent or nearby land, nor be detrimental to health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the people. And that goes on to say, the last thing, it shall be determined that the variances will be required for reasonable and practical physical development according to a plan and are not required solely on the basis of financial consideration. So, if you read this variance and you go through it step by step, it's not a threat to property value. Last week when we were here at the meeting, some of the residents had brought up studies that indicated that when multi-unit dwellings like this get moved into a residential area, that it decreases the property value of the surrounding houses. Safety. I can't say if there's been mention about, when you put in these complexes that people are going to be speeding in and out of there. I can't speak for that. We don't know what people are going to be. Even if they have regular houses there, that could be the case. But what we can say is that right now, on that entire block, you have 8 houses. Now you want to put 31 or however many it's going to be into a half block. That next could be developed too, could be 60 houses. We're not making the road any safer in terms of we're making it 2 foot wider, but we're not putting sidewalks. So I don't think with as much as that road is traveled, you can't tell me that it's not going to affect the safety to have that many more vehicles passing by there. And then it has also been said that, well, a project like this will bring in extra revenue to the city, an extra tax base, which is true, but according to the last line of this, it should not solely be based on the financial consideration. So another thing going against it. Oh, and then one last thing. I don't remember, who's the other gentleman that was here with you last week that was talking?
Ben Olson.
Ben Olson. So he made a comment that said if, with this PUD overlay, that it should not be out of character with the surrounding neighborhood, that it has to fit within the character. I don't know how you can say that a fourplex complex like this fits with what the neighborhood is right now. It just, it's out of character, it's out of context. Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, I do. John Knight, 16542 Riverwood Drive. We live right at the end of Elm Street, and we have a big problem with people turning around in our driveway. An average of 25 semis and cars a day when they miss the Highway 10 sign. It's been a big problem. I've been through 7 mailboxes. If we get 600 more cars coming out of this complex, I've had to call 911 several times already from speeding cars, semis wiping my mailboxes out. If we get 600 more cars coming down that road, we are going to have some serious problems. We have elderly people riding bikes, walking. It's just going to be a disaster. That's all I have to say. I'm totally against this.
Thank you.